Hi friends, welcome to Crack Grade B. We are back with yet another lecture which is again very important for your upcoming NABARD grade examination. This is related to government scheme and as well as this is related to rural development and agriculture, right? So it becomes one of the important scheme in the NABARD grade examination. This would be the part 1 of this lecture series. This will be followed by the part 2 where you will get to know the current affairs as well in the recent times, which includes DAY, NR, LM. So let's begin with the part 1 which will cover mostly the static part. So the full form is Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission, right? Let's begin with the lecture. This DAY, NR, LM comes under Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, right? And who is the minister for the Ministry of Rural Development? Narendra Singh Tomar, right? Shri Narendra Singh Tomar is the minister for Ministry of Rural Development, right? Let's begin. So this is by MORD, Ministry of Rural Development. This was launched in June 2011. This is one of the very old scheme. Remember, June 2011 is very old, but it is still very relevant for your examination because one of the other things is very well discussed in the current affairs that you are going to see in part 2. Then this is the restructured version of Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana. This is very old government scheme, right? So in RBI grade B there was a question related to Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana. So this is the restructured version of Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana. Which one? DAY, NR, LM, right? Next, in November 2015, the name was renamed. So initially it was Ajivika NR, LM. Then the name was changed in November 2015 to Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission. When? November 2015. Remember, these are all objective points, right? These are all objective points. Next, the funding pattern. The funding pattern is 60-40 in the general category states. 60 is being bared by the central government, 40 being the state government. 90-10 is for northeastern state plus Sikkim. 90 borne by the central government, 10% by the state government. For union territories, it's completely 100% being borne by the union government, right? So these are the important points for your objective, and let's see next. Next is aim and objective. So what is the aim and objective of this scheme? The aim and objective of the Deen Dayal Antyodaya National Rural Livelihood Mission is 7 crore to cover 7 crore rural poor household across 600 districts, 6,000 blocks, 2.5 lakh gram panchayat and 6 lakh villages, right? 7 crore rural poor household across 600 districts, 6,000 blocks, 2.5 lakh gram panchayat and 6 lakh villages, all objective material. Then how this will be done? This will be done through self-managed self-help group, SHGs, right? Self-managed SHGs. Then this is by the federated institutions. Support them for livelihood collection by the SHG. So all this will be achieved through this, and the poor would be felicitated to achieve increased access to their, right? So it is not about just this, it is about their rights, it is about their entitlements, it is about the public service, it is about the diversified risk, it is about the better social indicators of empowerment, right? So diversified risk means multiple source of income. They should not be into just one occupation or one source of income. So NRLM focuses not only on poverty or uplifting them from the poverty, it also looks upon their rights, their entitlements, their access to public service. Access to public service means if there is road or not, public drinking water facility is there or not, toilets is there or not. So like this, right? Diversify risks and better social indicators of empowerment. Social indicators mean what? Poverty, employment, health, like that. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Then let's move ahead in the lecture, and all this is done using these 5 pillars, right? So these are the pillars of NRLM: information, knowledge, skills, tools, finance, collectivization. So through this, the NRLM focuses on getting into its objective, right? Sorry, this is 6, right? So you will have to remember this. There can be a question in the objective or in the statement based question as well, right? Let's move forward. So we are going to see some few example of question in the part 2, not in this lecture. So let's move ahead in the forward. Mission of NRLM. So what is the mission? Mission is to reduce what? We will see. To reduce poverty. To reduce poverty, right? So this is important thing. Then by enabling, right? By enabling what? By enabling the poor household to access gainful self-employment, right? So this is one of the important thing you will have to remember. Self-employment, skill wage employment opportunities. So self-employment means they can open small shops, right? They can start selling something on the roadside. So using the agriculture as their primary source of income. And skill wage employment means where they know something, right? Let's say like I am a teacher, I teach, so this is my skill, I am selling my skill, right? So a doctor knows how to treat patient, so that is a skill based job. So that is how it is. So it enables, NRLM tries to remove poverty by enabling a rural household to access gainful self-employment. Means they should able to self-sustain. They should not be dependent on employment from someone else, right? Either they should have their own land so that they can cultivate and they can manage their livelihood, or if they do not have, then what is the second option? So that is what NRLM looks into it, right? And skill wage employment opportunities. Then, and this resulting in appreciable improvement in their livelihood on a sustainable basis through building a strong grassroots institution of the poor, right? So anything good that is happening in the society should be sustainable, right? Only then it is good. Else an economy cannot progress when the benefits of something is on the short term side, right? It should be sustainable on a longer side, especially poverty. Poverty doesn't come in one day and poverty doesn't go in one day. It has to be a sustainable, and the measures that should apply to remove the poverty or to bring someone from out of the poverty should be sustainable, right? So that is what it results into. Then let's move forward. Components of NRLM. So what are the components, right? So the components are, first one, universal social mobilization. Then the second one, participatory identification of poor. We are going to see each one of them in the upcoming slides. Then it's community funds. Then it is financial inclusion, right? Then it's livelihoods. Then the last one is convergence and partnership. So these are 6. This is 1, 2, 4, 5. This is 6. So total there are 6 components. An objective material, right? So you can get an objective. You will have to remember this 6 component. So then let's move forward and let's see the first one. The first one is component universal social mobilization, right? What it is? at least one woman member from each identified rural house to bought under the SHG network. At least one woman, right? Objective material, you will have to remember this. NRLM would ensure adequate coverage of vulnerability section of the society. How? 50% of beneficiaries are ST, SC, 15% are minorities, and 3% are person with disabilities, right? Then, while keeping in view the ultimate target of 100% coverage of BPL families and household with at least one deprivation criteria as per the socio-economic caste census, right? So it is said that 100% BPL coverage is there, right? And that is as per the socio-economic caste census, right? So what are the objective thing here? Universal social mobilization is the first component, and under the first component at least one woman of the rural household, identified rural house, should be brought under the SHG network, first thing. Then 50% of the beneficiaries are who? ST/SCs, 15% are minorities, 3% are PWDs, and rest are the general category people, right? So this is something that you will have to remember for your, you never know, a statement based question can be clubbed together with a current affairs based question, and they can ask you some minute detail like this. Then the second component is so this is done. The second is participatory identification of poor. Now what is participatory? Participatory is जहाँ पे हर कोई पार्टिसिपेट करता है, ठीक है? तो वो क्या है? बेनिफिशियरीज आर सेलेक्टेड बाय द पीपल इन द विलेज. तो गांव में जितने लोग हैं उन लोगों के बीच में ही लोगों का आइडेंटिफिकेशन होता है. सो यस, ऑब्वियसली 2011 सेंसस इज बीइंग यूज्ड. स्टिल द कंपोनेंट ऑफ LRM is that the beneficiaries are selected by the people, and who are approving it? Approved by the Gram Sabha, right? Approved by the Gram Sabha. Remember in the rural management topic we have studied about the Gram Sabha, Balwant Rai Ji Mehta committee, who has said about democratic decentralization, and following that the Gram Sabha was formed. So this is the important role that Gram Sabha is playing to uplift the rural poverty, right? So that was the objective there. So it's connected. Then let's see number third. Number third is community funds, right? So what are community funds? 10,000, 15,000, rupees 10,000 to 15,000 per SHG and community investment fund CIF, and up to 2.5 per SHG following norms of good SHG, Panch Sutra, right? And this is through the banking system known as Banking Mitra, right? Especially through the microfinance bank. But this, what is community investment fund? This is very simple. Let's say there are 5 people, right? There are 5 people and each one of them contributes 5,000. So what would be the total amount? The total amount would be 25,000. Let's say I need money today. I mean, I need money this month. So every month they will do this activity for 5 consecutive months, right? So this month I need money, so I will take that 25,000, right? So what is the amount that I am getting extra? 20,000 rupees, right? So I don't have to go to bank, I don't have to pay any interest, I don't have to beg to someone else to give me the money, right? When I need, I can access this fund. So now how do I repay? I repay it in every month in a slot of 5,000, 5,000, 5,000 and 5,000. That is how I complete my 20,000 that I have taken extra, right, for the next 4 months, and this continues for the 5 months. This is known as community investment fund. This is possible because of SHG. So remember this, 10,000 to 15,000. 2.5 lakh per SHG following norms of good SHG, and this is known as Pancha Sutra, right? Then entrance subvention, subsidy on interest rates that is it is below 7% for all eligible women SHG, maximum 3 lakh per SHG, right? Then Vulnerability Reduction Fund VRF to SHG Federation at village level in order to enable them to undertake financing of food security, health, nutrition, food security, health, nutrition security and such as priority needs of vulnerable household. So the people who do not have that basic income also, right, so that they can take care of themselves, like the basic needs, food, shelter, the basic nutrition requirement, so that are being done using the Vulnerability Reduction Fund, right? Vulnerability Reduction Fund. So you will have to remember what is the use or objective of this fund. What is the objective of this fund? To fulfill the need or the financing of food security, health, nutrition security and other such priority needs, only priority needs of the vulnerable household. It's not about every poor household, it's about vulnerable household. So that is the key word, the vulnerable, right? Now let's move ahead and let's see the next is financial inclusion, the next pillar, number 4. So financial pillar works in two aspects. Number 1 is demand, second is supply. Now on the demand side, what it does, it creates awareness, right? Means, see, if I am poor, I should know that I can avail the financing facility from the bank or maybe somewhere else, right? So there should be an awareness, only then there would be a demand of finance, right? So that is how it is. So NRLM or SHG, means through SHG, NRLMs under its component financial inclusion creates demands by awareness, right? So that people are aware that they can they have access to proper finance, right? Then on the supply side, what happens? On the supply side, it does promotion of digital finance and deployment of SHG women as banking correspondent Sakhi. Banking Sakhi. So who are banking Sakhi? Banking Sakhi are the women from SHG who goes from maybe door to door or from person to person to make them aware that they can access, they does have access to the financing facility by which they can start their own. Maybe they can get a loan to buy a sewing machine that costs hardly 9,000 to 10,000, right? They don't have even that much amount. They can take loan, they can repay it in the EMI of maybe 1,000 per month. So within 10 to 12 months, they will be debt free and they can have a sustainable flow of income through that sewing machine. So they get so this is about ladies, and for gents out in the village, they can get a loan for maybe to buy cattle, maybe to buy a cow and something like that. Okay, so who are this? Those are banking Sakhis. You will have to remember this, who are banking Sakhis and how their work is being done in financial inclusion, right? Let's move ahead in the lecture and let's see number 5, that is livelihood, right? So NRLM focuses on stabilizing and promoting existing livelihood portfolio of the poor through its three pillar. So under the component livelihood, there is 3 pillar. You will have to remember this is an objective material. Then vulnerability reduction, number 1, right? Number 2, livelihood enhancement. Number 3, employment. So how livelihood enhancement, right? Let's say people who do not have proper house, maybe they don't have floor, or maybe they don't have the roof. So by providing them the money, they either make the floor or the roof and their standard of living gets improved, right? So livelihood enhancement. So maybe standard of living is not the right word for it, but livelihood enhancement. So there is a slight enhancement in the way they live, right? In the way they live. So these are the 3 pillars that this livelihood under the components of NRLM focuses on. Number 3, employment, right? So under the employment, it looks for creating a different set of employment. Let's say I own a agriculture land, right? So I produce wheat once a year. So it is just 4 to 5 month work. What about rest of the year? Rest of the year I should able to work. So maybe I don't have skills, or I don't have proper knowledge on how to work. So NRLM through its component livelihood will look and will help me through SHG to diversify my source of income and to have a secondary source of income, so that I can come out of poverty. So I can come out of poverty, right? So that is what it is look for. It is employment is. Then let's move forward in the lecture and let's see number 6, that is number 5, convergence and partnership, right? So NRLM means MORD coordinates with other ministries. So it's not MORD directly coordinates, right? The people who are managing this coordinates through other ministries and for resource pooling, right? So this is a very big scheme and it needs people. Maybe let's say that banking mitra, right? So who are banking mitra? That is related to banks, and banks come under Ministry of Finance, right? So the bank will follow what ministry, the finance ministry says before MORD. So they should have a proper guidelines of what banking Sakhi will do, so that the things can channelize, right? So this means that other central ministries, so there should be a coordination between other central ministries and the stakeholders. Non-governmental organization, NGOs and other civil society organization, at least 2 levels. Number 1 strategic, number 2 implementation. So there are 2 kinds of, first thing, someone who will prepare plan, right, and there will be someone who would implement. Both can be the same entity. I can plan and I can implement, that's fine, but what if I don't have proper resource to implement? I can only plan, then I will plan, somebody else will implement on that planning, right? So at least at 2 levels the government looks for partnership. Then government also partners with Panchayati Raj institution, PRIs, most important component, because in the rural management, in the last lecture of rural management, you have seen how Panchayati Raj institution are given the task of managing the entire rural society, right, and uplifting them with the basic needs what they do not have access to, right? So Panchayati Raj institutions, these people should coordinate with NRLM. Only then the objective of both the entity, the Panchayati Raj institution. So what will the Panchayati Raj institution do? So it's a third stage governance, right? So the union, then the state, then at the rural place, to look things from the very grassroots level. There is Gram Sabha, there is Jilla Parishad and Jilla Panchayat, right? So that is Panchayati Raj institution. And what are their objective? Their objective is the overall development of the rural India, not the rural poverty. So rural poverty comes under rural India. So the problems, if you say about what are the problems of rural India, one of them would be rural poverty, right? And this Panchayati Raj institution looks at the overall rural development, right? And NRL looks at poverty. So one of the components of the objective of Panchayati Raj institution as well, right? So these people have to coordinate in order to successfully plant a plan so that every people can come out of poverty, right? Then let's move ahead in the lecture and okay, very sorry, this was the number 6, right? This was the number 6 and this was the last one. And let's move ahead and let's see farm livelihood. So what is farm livelihood? So farm livelihood is again divided into three parts. Number one is Mahila Kisan Sashastikaran Pariyojana, then value chain development interventions, then universalization of farm livelihoods, right? Then what are this? Let's see. The first one is Mahila Kisan Sashastikaran Pariyojana. Approximately 50% budget of all Mahila Kisan Sashastikaran Pariyojana projects are devoted to training and capacity building of community professional or CRP women farmers, as well as for building their institution. Means the primary focus is on building community professional, especially the women's, right? So that the rural India can be managed in a better way, right? Like a household, like a small household. So primary 50% of the budget focuses on building capacity, right? So it focuses on women. Then the next one is universalization of farm livelihood, right? That is, farm livelihood interventions are household centric, right? Here also we have seen it's household centric, having a strong focus on building capacity of the target community through engagement of community resource persons, CRPs. Through engagement, at the first place you are building capacity, at the second place you are engaging them into whom? Known as Krishi Sakhi, Pashu Sakhi, Van Sakhi, Udyog Sakhi, etc. Means you have seen how this is connected. So here 50% budget is being spent for capacity building, right? And the same capacity is being used at this stage through engagements, and they are known as Krishi Sakhi, Pashu Sakhi, Krishi Van Sakhi, Udyog Sakhi. Means why they are Sakhi? They have knowledge. That is the reason they become Sakhi. And how they have knowledge? Because at this stage the government has worked towards capacity building. Then number third is value chain development intervention. Let's see what it is. To support small farmers, small and marginal rural producers to get better market access across to 10 states under the World Bank dedicated fund for livelihood. So under this stage, a value chain, I mean, see, a rural poor may be very small. So 86%, like in the last lecture you have seen, 86% of the land holding in India is with the whom? Is with the rural small and marginal farmers, right? So you see, so this small and marginal farmer consists of so many people. So it is obvious that many of them do not have tractors and trucks to sell their produce, right? So government has to create that value chain so that their product gets sold through channels from one person to other, and finally it reaches out to the retail market. So that is what at the third stage is right, in the farm livelihood. Hope this is clear. Let's move forward in the lecture and let's see the subcomponents of NRLM. So what are the subcomponents of NRLM? First one is Mahila Kisan Sashastikaran Pariyojana. We have already seen it, but we will see it in detail here. Then Ajivika Skill Development Program. Then it's Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana. So this is, yes, this is the subcomponent. This is again a government scheme, but this is a subcomponent under NRLM. Then Startup Village Entrepreneurship Program. Then it's National Rural Economic Transformation Project. Then it's Ajivika Gramin Express Yojana. Then it's Saras Ajivika Mela, right? So we are going to see each one of them one by one. Let's begin with the first one, Mahila Kisan Sashastikaran Pariyojana. So this was launched in 2011 as a subcomponent of the NRLM. 2011. Remember it. What is the aim? The aim is skill building of small holder farmers in the practice of sustainable, climate change resilient eco agriculture, right? So the agriculture should also be sustainable agriculture, right? So one time produce is not profit, right? It has to be sustainable. Then implementation, how it is implemented? DAY NRLM in partnership with State Rural Livelihood Mission, community based organization and NGOs. So this is how this Mahila Kisan Sashastikaran Pariyojana is implemented. You remember the objective that we have seen? It's capacity building, right? 50% of the money is being used for capacity building. And what are they known? They are known as Mahila, what was it? Krishi Sakhi, Udyog Sakhi, right? Pashu Sakhi, that is the name. Then funding. What is the funding pattern? The funding pattern is 60-40. The 60 is being borne by the central government, 40 being by the state government for the general state. 90-10 for NER, Himalayan state, that is Sikkim, and 100% for UTs, 100% for Union Territories. This is the funding pattern. It was launched in 2011. Remember, and this is under the sub-component of NRLM. Next one is Ajivika Skill Development Program. So yes, this was launched in 2013 and has its origin from a special project under Swarna Jayanti Gram Swaraj Yojana, right? So even this also took some objective from the Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana. Then who are the beneficiaries? The beneficiaries are only poor rural people in age group of 18 to 35, right? So 10 year is being relaxed for people from the STSC background, right? But that will be too much depth. So objective would be the general question. What is the age group? Who are the beneficiaries? That is 18 to 35, people in the age group of 18 to 35. Implementation. So this is being implemented in partnership with private, public sector and CSO, Project Implementation Agency, right? Project PIA is Project Implementation Agency. Remember the partnership with that, the component we have seen. There can be two pillars. Number one, planning. Number two is implementing. So there can be two agencies, right? So these are Project Implementation Agency. Then the components. What are the components? So there are two components, Roshni and Himayat. Under the Roshni, special scheme for most critical LWE affected areas. Special scheme for most critical LWE affected area. Okay. Then Himayat for Jammu Kashmir. Okay, not which covers. So the Himayat scheme is for Jammu Kashmir. Now this Himayat becomes very important because this was in the recent news that we are going to see in part 2. In part 2 we will continue with this lecture where we left it, and in part 2 we are going to study about the current affairs that this LRMM has seen in the last 6 months, so that you are well prepared for the NABARD grade examinations, right? So we have covered this and this, right? And now all this would be under the part 2 of this lecture, right, which will be uploaded in this particular week. So I hope this is clear. We have come to the end of the lecture. Before I say goodbye, please visit our website and you can find all this course, RBI grade B, SEBI grade A. Although SEBI grade A result is out, so people who have qualified, congratulations to them. Then IRDA assistant manager, NABARD grade A and grade B. So people who are looking to become officer in NABARD grade and B, do not forget to visit the website and look for this course if you have not taken it yet, right? Because this is one of the most economical course that you can find, including mocks. NABARD grade A is only for 2499, NABARD grade E is only for 3499, right? With this, the lecture has come to an end. Thank you and happy learning. Goodbye. Meet you in the part 2 of this same lecture.